Hey everyone, Joshua Gibson here with the Philosophical Weightlifting Podcast, and you're listening to episode 33. And we are live. I am joined today by a very special guest, Donovan Ford. So Donovan is an American weightlifter who has won national competitions, competed on international stages, and has been in the sport for quite some time. It's always tough to develop an adequate intro because websites don't seem to become updated very frequently, especially USA Weightlifting. So I'm kind of honored to have you give us an introduction, if you wouldn't mind. Maybe start from the first time you picked up a barbell and get us to this point.
Oh man, like takes it back. Well, I started weightlifting back in 2006. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was kind of like a newborn giraffe trying to figure out the sport, but had some good athletic qualities that could be built upon. But yeah, I started back in 2016 or 6 in high school with Paul Doherty. From there, kind of grew. Went to one youth nationals. Went to a couple junior national championships. Won one. From there, I got kind of thrown into the fire at the Olympic Training Center in 2009. Lived out there for 7 years. That's kind of where my weightlifting career matured quite a bit. I won a nationals. I won a couple junior nationals while I was there. Made some Pan Am teams, won some medals, qualified for a couple world teams, and then went on to having a pretty decent performance at the Olympic trials, and then on to the Pan Ams, which was actually our last qualifying event for the Olympics in 2016. So it's been a pretty wild ride, for 12 years of lifting, but still going at it strong.
Yeah, so if you were at the OTC for 7 years, my question would be, how was your weightlifting experience before that point, and then how did it change from that time on?
So high school weightlifting was just all fun and games for the most part, Like, the best part about going to the gym was your friends were there and you just talked about all the hot topics of school. And then all my friends were also football players who did weightlifting at the same time. So it's just like when we were doing weightlifting, we were talking about football. When we were doing football, we were talking about weightlifting. So it's just just a lot of tight knit friends, and you just had a good time. But when I first moved to Colorado, I didn't know anybody. It seemed like a really extremely prestigious environment, not only just when it comes to weightlifting, but when it comes to all sports. So I felt you don't joke around anymore with your friends. You don't you just do all serious football or weightlifting all the time. If you're not trying to get better, then you're not working hard enough. So I kind of got it was kind of a culture shock to me, or at least I kind of created this false maybe not extremely false, but I had this image I created of what being at the OTC meant, which I later found out it's very similar to high school. It's you have to try to have fun. So you go to training. It's you work really hard, but you have fun with your friends. You just you have to find ways to enjoy the monotony and just the madness of what training 9 times a week is, but and then it's crazy because I lifted in high school, And then I went to the training center for 7 years, and then now I'm not at the training center, and I'm still lifting and competing, and it's just kind of like, whoa, there's a world outside of like the walls of the OTC, which means bills and working and cooking your own food. So it's been pretty crazy.
So how did you handle that transition from going to lifting full time, everything pretty much taken care of, to like adopting a complete life where you have to go to school and have to work and have to take care of like your significant other or spend time with them?
Yeah, it's been a challenge, but I've also embraced the challenge because 7 years at the OTC is a long time, and 7 years of someone making you your eggs, and then like 7 years of somebody like being there to like work out like your muscles and your legs, and it sounds great, and it was amazing, and I loved all of it, but like after 7 years the walls start to talk to you, and like it's just like I didn't feel like I was doing anything fulfilling. Like weightlifting, I love the sport. I still do it, and it's hard, it's challenging, and like it's everything I loved about it when I was younger. I still love about it now, but it's just the OTC environment. It's just it can be a little toxic at points, and then when it gets too toxic, it just kind of ruin things for you. But when I moved initially, it was difficult, just like kind of adapting to like, I guess like living on the outside, like having to cook for myself. Like I'm a pretty good cook now, but it's just like, it's just like you kind of take for granted, like, man, I wish I had one more morning when someone would make me like 3 eggs over medium with a side of like bacon and like, a little Greek yogurt parfait. Like, I wish I had that, but it's like, no, just gotta go to the grocery store now. But
right, it's kind of funny the way you talk about it. Like, I'm not gonna say it was prison, but like that's kind of the way it comes off. Just like that extreme adjustment.
It is. I think it's that way for a lot of people. I mean, I guess I can only speak for myself, but yeah, like it's crazy. It's just a crazy environment, and I can see why you'd think like people would like want to be there and do whatever they could to be there, but every now and then you'd run into an athlete who'd be there for like 6 months to a year and leave voluntarily, and they're just like, oh my god, this is just like crazy. Like, but I think the difference between me and a lot of other athletes is like when I got to the training center, unfortunately, I didn't have anywhere else to go. Like, it was just like, that was like my home, more or less, like until I had like enough like knowledge and I guess courage to go somewhere else. So like it was like year one, it was just like I was shaking in my boots, like if they were gonna like keep me there another year or not, because it's just like, man, like hope I did well enough. And then year 2 it's the same, and year 3 it's the same. By year 4 it's just like, okay, like I kind of have like an understanding of like what I would do if like I wasn't here. But then like by year 7 it's just like, get me out, like I'm ready to go. Like I don't care if I like fall on my face trying to do the grown-up thing. Like, I just can't be here anymore.
Right. Could you maybe give us some insight into like the training at the OTC? Because like you said, it was multiple times a day. I'm sure like 6 days a week. And I'm kind of curious if you had to change that now that you're outside of it, because obviously your recovery is going to be quite different, what you can handle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when I first started weightlifting in high school, my coach, I think I was training anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. And it was 4 days a week in football practice or in football season, because like your body's really beat up playing football. outside of football season, it was 6. And then when I went to the training center, it went from 6 to 9, which was 2 double days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And even my first coach at the OTC sometimes gave me like 3 sessions on Thursdays, which was like, Tuesdays. Maybe it was Thursdays. I can't remember. But it was like a technique session, which was like maybe an hour, but it'd be an hour of snatching like 50 kilos, trying to like perfect the movement. And, but all those reps add up over time. And, when I first got there, it was just like really difficult to like maintain like, I guess that kind of workload initially. Like, I think that's where it kind of weeds out like I don't want to say good athletes from the bad, but like the athletes who recover the quickest from the athletes who don't. Because if you don't recover fast enough, it's not for you, and you kind of get like kind of pushed to the side, you know? But like, I think I was a little lucky that like when I was younger, my body was able to recover a little faster than the other guys. So I didn't get burnt out for a couple months when I first got there. I was just like every day as hard as I could. Like I was starting to hurt, but like I was just like, I got to do it. Like this is what it takes. And then eventually I hit a wall where I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. My knees are shot, like my wrists are shot, my shoulders hurt, like my back, like it was just like way too much work. But then I kind of adjusted, like, and I mean, I've had my fair share of injuries, but I don't think they're due to like training 9 times a week. I think it's due to like, you know, you're trying to be the best lifter you can be. And it's like, if you're really working hard, like bad things are going to happen sometimes.
Right.
But it's different now because I'm 28, I have a job, I'm going to school, I'm married, like it's just like I have all these other things that are pulling me away from training, but yeah, I still can find like, you know, a couple hours a day to get some stuff in. So it's like I can only train 5 to 6 times a week, 6 times being like, you know, when I'm really pushing for a competition, like 5 times when I'm just like kind of in my strength phase. But yeah, it's a lot different. Like it's hard. It's with my program now, it's just as hard on my body training 5 to 6 times a week as it is like training 9 times a week when I was a little bit younger. It's just like I still have to find a way to get, you know, all the sets and reps into 5 or 6 workouts. But
so
it's
so what did your rate of progress look like when you started going to the OTC? Because obviously focusing full time, you're going to make pretty drastic improvements. But how did you like sustain that and then keep pushing it over those next few years?
You know, it was really interesting because I didn't really, my first year at the OTC, I think I improved my snatch by only 5 kilos. And I think I improved my clean and jerk by 5 kilos. But if you look at it, like I was like 19, 20 years old. I was 19 when I moved there. So I was like between 19 and 20, I only got 10 kilos better, but or from 18 to 19, I think I put like 40 kilos on my total.
Whoa.
So it's just kind of like what happened in there that like, you know, I didn't really like get as good as I thought I was going to get. And I think it was just like the change in environment and just the training was like really intense. Like I just really wasn't used to like beating myself up like that. Like in high school, it's just like the workouts were super simple. It's just like come in, snatch like 130, come in, clean and jerk 160, do some squats, and then you're done. It's like, okay, sweet. But get to the OTC, it's like, okay, now you're snatching 130 for doubles. It's just like I hadn't even touched a double. It's just like, you know, like you just get like, I know some people are against the term like overtrained, but if you come in like with a very low, I guess, like not a very strong base and like sets and reps. It's just like when you get tossed in the sets and reps and you feel like you either do the sets and reps or you're on a plane home tomorrow. It's just like you get a little overtrained. So, but my progression was kind of interesting. Like after that first year, like I feel like one of the problems with, I guess, my first year and a half at the OTC is that coaches only tried to make me stronger. And I was already like a really strong athlete, and I just didn't know how to move a barbell. Mm-hmm. And I think they felt like making me stronger would make me better at pulling the bar. And I think that's why, like, I got, I think my back squat actually went up from by 30 kilos that year, which is like significant strength increase, but it's just like my lifts only go up by 5 a piece. It's kind of odd. But when I started working with Zygmunt in 2000, I think the end of 2010, he was just like, "Oh, like you're not a weightlifter." I think that's his words when he first saw me. It was like, "Oh, you're not a lifter." I was like, "Yeah, I am. Like, I'm a weightlifter." And he was like, "No, you don't even move like a weightlifter. You just like I guess my technique wasn't really considered like muscling the weight, but it wasn't like weightlifting technique." Mm-hmm. But he found a way to bridge the gap between my strength and like my actual numbers, performance numbers, and like the lifts. And I think that's when like I went from like snatching 140 and clean and jerking 180 to doing 70 and like 200 plus.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So when he was working with you, was his coaching style more of like, I'm going to program exercises to help correct problems, or I'm going to like cue or try and like show you how to perform it and then just have you do snatches?
Yeah, it was all, Zygmunt's program was all exercise based to correct technical issues or to help you, I guess, more or less understand like what you're doing with the bar, mm-hmm. like what you're trying to accomplish, even though like maybe in your mind, like, or consciously, you don't really understand what's going on, but like your body's so trained through like muscle memory that you really like don't even have to think about what you're trying to do. It's just your body's just doing it because it's been like reprogrammed.
Right. So what would a typical session look like? Maybe like for the snatch, for the clean and jerk. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a Monday workout was typically like SOTS press, or like snatch push or snatch press behind the neck, and then we'd have like that was like a warm up, and then we'd have like a kind of a warm up speed exercise, which is like typically like hang snatch doubles, or like hang snatch from the power position, not the knee. And then we get into pull plus snatch from the blocks, which was either like doubles, sometimes singles, just kind of depend on what we needed. And then we'd do snatch pulls, and that'd be like your morning training session. And then you'd come in the afternoon and do hang clean, pull plus clean from the boxes, the high boxes, and then clean pulls and maybe like jerks or something last. And then because you go through 8 movements a day on a double day session, 8 to 9 sometimes, depending on like your needs. So yeah, it's just like morning snatch focus, evening clean and jerk focus, and then on like a Tuesday or Thursday, which was our strength days, where we squat, we pull, we do power, presses, just kind of like I guess they're not like, I'd call them accessory lifts more than the classical lifts.
Okay. And then after the OTC, so did you train with a couple other teams? Because I know you're with Cal Strength now, right? You're training under Dave.
I'm actually still a part of Hassle Free. I joined Catalyst briefly for a few months after leaving the OTC, but it wasn't really a good fit. And then I decided to go back to hassle-free, but I reached out to Dave Spitz, and he was kind enough to work with me, and he's been programming for me for about a year now, and I'm just starting to get into kind of a rhythm with his style of programming, which is a lot different than anything I've ever done. But I think the difference between, or what I appreciate about it, is that working with Zygmunt was necessary because he taught me how to transfer my strength into, a number in the snatch or a number in the clean and jerk. And what I like about Dave's program is he's been working with me a lot on obviously getting stronger. I think he focuses on that quite a bit, but also he's one of the few coaches that I've ever been able to I guess cue me on my weaknesses, especially in the snatch, which has always been something I struggled with. Zygmunt was a great coach, but one of the things that we had a problem with is especially at the OTC, we never had time to really work on cueing a specific technical fix. And some of his exercises didn't quite make me as sound in that movement as it could have. It obviously got me to perform better, but there were still some kind of some rough patches in my movement. And since I've been working with Dave, I'd say that I feel a lot more confident in that movement than I ever have before, because I understand what I'm supposed to do consciously, instead of just relying on muscle memory through exercise to get it done.
So I'm kind of curious to hear maybe what your favorite movements are for a snatch, a clean, and a jerk that you feel kind of helped you the most, and that maybe people listening could benefit from using.
My favorite movement. I don't know if I have a lot of favorite movements. One movement that I've been working on a lot with Dave is snatches from mid-thigh, power position area. And as much as I hate those, the weights that he's having me take in the gym are numbers that I really feel uncomfortable taking, just because you're working from such a high position that it's just it's just am I dive bombing under this weight? But it really forces me to be consciously aware of where I need to be in the power position before I open up. And the thing I like about it is he'll give me 6 singles from the high boxes at 90%, but he's okay, it's every 2 minutes and you have 30 seconds to complete the lift. So it's just you don't have time to think.
Right.
And he'll also write in if you miss more than once, you can't go up and wait the next week. So it's just you can't think about anything other than your technique and making a solid lift, which kind of gets me away from my habit of just kind of pulling and praying.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pull and pray in this exercise, you're going to have a couple misses and you can't increase your weight. But so it's necessary to really hone in and focus exactly the right technique to complete the exercise.
Okay, that's interesting. So we've kind of covered your training leading up to now. So what are your plans heading forward? How's your training currently, and when are you planning on competing again?
Well, the training right now is going really well. I'm training for nationals, hoping to I feel like I'm set up really well to hit some big PRs at nationals. Dave's been pretty happy with how my training has been going this cycle, and I feel strong and confident. The goal is to find a way to get on the world team this year. So, I'm still training. I'm still out there. I know I mean, it always seems like people forget, like, especially, like, I've had injuries where I've been, like, out a year, and people are like, oh, Donovan was, like, kind of a flash in the pan, like, like, he lifted one year, then he was out the next, and he was lifting the next year, but no, I'm still competing, still have a lot of room to improve, and Dave obviously believes I do, and Kevin Doherty, so hoping for big things at Nationals and even bigger things at American Open 3 in Las Vegas.
So how do you feel about the current level of competition in the 105 class? Because we've got some big hitters now.
You know, I've never really worried too much about competition. Like you just got to make your lifts, and then everything kind of works out for you. If you don't make your lifts, nothing's ever going to work out.
Right. So do you feel like you're a little more like internally motivated during your training then?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. I don't know. My coaches have always really, from the beginning, kind of told me like, hey, just like, you know, it's your race, like it's your show, like just get out there and get it done. And I think like for me, I have like a saying in weightlifting. I don't know. It's just like, in my opinion, it's really hard to like go out and beat somebody in weightlifting. Like, it's just like you know, you can work really hard and you can win because of your effort and the work you put in the gym. But like, if you're so focused on beating like one person, it's like you're leaving yourself open to losing. So it's just like, I always say it's really hard to beat a man, but it's really easy to lose.
Right. That's good.
So
go
ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering. So you've been in the sport since you've been in the sport for such a long time. I mean, what advice would you give to people that are maybe like coming on the cusp of like qualifying for nationals, that are trying to reach the point where you're at? It's got to be tough to stay in the sport and remain healthy enough to be able to compete, you know, as frequently as you have.
Yeah, I mean, I was messaging a guy on Instagram today. He reached out to me, and he's new, and he's been lifting like a year, and he'll be at nationals, the second national meet, and he's just like, yeah, I'm really excited. I was like, yeah, just all it is putting your head down and hard work, and just like, you know, my coach used to tell me when I was a kid, he's like, every kilo counts, like every kilo. So like, don't think that like you have to put 10 kilos on the bar tomorrow to get to where you want to go. Like, you know, you put your head down, and then when you see the opportunity, you put one more kilo on the bar, because that's going to count big when it matters. And what was it, Pan Am's, like 2016. This past my last Pan Am's, I was on the team for. Like, I was fighting for medals, and like I knew I needed one more kilo than, you know, another guy. I was like, I just got to get that 1 kilo. Like, that's all I need, and that actually made the difference in terms of obviously winning a medal at Pan Am's. But one of my coaches, he had a goal for me he was like, oh, I want you to out total this guy. I want you to, because I think you're better than him. I think you can beat him. And this guy totals like 400 kilos. And like, I'm not totally 400 kilos, but that day wasn't his day on the platform. And, you know, I ended up tying him on and beating him on body weight. And my coach was pretty happy. He was like, you know, and if I never put that 1 more kilo on the bar, it's just like, he would have been looking down on me on the podium, you know? So
kind of along that same line, what would you say is your proudest accomplishment in the sport, and then maybe favorite competition moment?
Proudest moment. Oh man,
tough question.
That is, there's so many moments. Proudest competition moment. I think my going back to 2016 Pan Ams, like I hadn't PR'd in 3 years. You know, I was fighting a number of injuries. I was coming off a shoulder surgery in 2013, which kind of like was lingering, and I didn't really catch my stride again until 2015. And then I managed to win nationals, qualify for the world team, and then a week before Worlds, I herniated a disc in my back, which was also like, you know, seven months from like trials. So then to going to Olympic trials and making my last lift to sneak onto the Pan Am team, and then going to Pan Ams, going 6 for 6, winning a bronze, or I think a silver medal. I can't remember, bronze or silver, and PRing my total by I think 3 kilos. That was like just all the emotion from like, you know, being down in the dumps 2013 to like coming back to being down in the dumps 2015, like, and then to just like still have enough to like scratch and claw to like getting a PR total after like not having one for 3 years. That was probably my best or my proudest weightlifting moment, and just the most like exciting weightlifting moment ever.
Yeah, it's got to feel relieving hitting a PR after such a long time. I mean, because you're at such a high level where like putting 1 to 2 kilos on is got to be just a phenomenal feeling, especially in a competition.
Yeah, just you know, it's like you chase PRs forever, and then like, or like even as a kid, like PRs came all the time. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll get it next time. And then you know, you put a PR on the bar, and then you like tweak your knee or something, and it's like, oh man, like next time might not be for like 8 months, and then like, you know, after like 8 months you're healthy again, but then like your training's not going well. Like there's so many things, but like, you know, just got to keep grinding, keep believing. I think after that moment at Pan Am's, it kind of inspired me to not inspired me, but yeah, I mean, I guess it did inspire me. It made me a believer that I still have like a lot more left in the tank. Like, and if I can just stay healthy and, you know, do all the right things, like, you know, there will be a couple more kilos on my total next competition, and a couple more next competition. Just keep building.
So, kind of switching gears a little bit, going back to training, I'm curious to hear what the hardest part of training is for you, like the training process. I know it's kind of like a vague question, but
to be honest, the hardest part, which is something I'm starting to get over with a lot with like Dave's programming, because it's very intense and it's like it pushes you so much. And I'd say he's not a hard person to work with, but maybe not demanding is the word, but he has high expectations, and he wants you to have high expectations of yourself. And, you know, coming from the OTC where I had like several significant injuries, and like my body's like really beat up for a 28-year-old, like it's like you start to have a lot more doubts about your capabilities. And like, you know, if he's like, hey Donovan, we need this number done this week, you know, sometimes you have that voice in the back of your head like, oh, but remember you're 28 and you had 2 shoulder surgeries and you have a bad back and your knees hurt all the time. It's just like trying to get some of those voices out of your head. But that's the toughest part with training, especially with like a demanding program. But and second to that, it's just staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's the hardest thing. It's like you can't make progress if you're not healthy. So there's like no way. Like so, it's kind of becomes like a delicate balance of knowing when to fight and when to think like, hey, like this might not be worth it today if I'm looking long term into like what the big goal is. So it's like definitely a delicate balance of those two, like staying healthy while also like challenging yourself.
So what do you think, or do you have any like self-talk when you're putting a PR or like a high percentage weight on the bar and you're kind of like about to approach it? Do you have like any self-talk, or do you just kind of switch off? Like, what's your approach to taking heavy lifts?
I don't really tell myself anything. There was a time when I did have to like, talk to myself like, you can do this. It was 2015, 2016 after my back injury. Like I could not pull 90%. Like it's just like I rarely miss cleans, and like I would usually, if I missed a clean, it was like 99% to like 102%. I'd miss a clean then, and it wasn't like I couldn't stand up with it. It was just a bad angle under the bar. But I was missing a lot of cleans, like after I hurt my back, and a lot of snatches, just like not feeling confident in my back. And like I knew I was like healthy, like it never really hurt, but it was just like I'd start to pull, and I'm just like, okay, is my back going to go out on this one? And then once you start thinking about that, it's just like you're so distracted that, like, you miss. So there was a time when I had to go up to the bar before my set and just tell myself I'm stronger and healthier than I think I am. And, like, I'd be able to lift. Like, it was just like, okay, I'm going after it. But I had to say that. And I don't know if anybody at the OTCA heard me in the gym, but, like, it was like, they probably thought I was crazy, but it was like, I had, like, a serious mental block because I just did not think I was all there. But the mind's crazy. Like, when I had my shoulder surgery, doctors told me I was healthy, and I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. And they were like, okay, we'll do an MRI. Did an MRI, and they were like, see, everything looks fine. And I was like, sweet. And then I go in the gym and like snatch 160.
So those injuries, so your back and your shoulders, were those like just kind of they happened, or was it like over time it just got worse and worse to where you had to deal with it?
My my right shoulder, I tore my labrum in 2010, and I believe that was an overuse injury because it was my first, within my first year at the OTC, and it was just like a lot of reps and a lot of at high intensities and like a lot of missing behind. I'm a lifter who rarely misses in front, so all my lifts are behind, and all the missing behind just like wears on the shoulder. So that was that shoulder. My left shoulder actually dislocated my shoulder in a snatch at the Worlds and tore my rotator cuff and my labrum, and that was just bad luck. And then my back was bad luck as well. I was doing 260 kilo back squats for doubles, and that's not a very heavy squat for me at all. But I think with the amount of intensity we were doing leading up to 2015 Worlds, amount of volume, like on that particular day, my back was just like not having it. And I didn't miss the weight. It was just like I felt something kind of slide in my back. And then, it was a bad herniation.
So do you ever get like flare-ups from your shoulders or your back anymore, or are they pretty calmed down?
My shoulders are pretty good. The rotator cuff injury, because the super spinatus came off the bone and they had to reattach it. So that one's it was a little more invasive, and I would say it's constantly anywhere from like 80 to 85% of what it used to be, which I can still work with. And then my right shoulder, it's like 100%, but because my left shoulder is 85%, my right shoulder has to work at like 110%. So sometimes they get flared up. My back is pretty under control, I'd say. I know how to work around like I guess any flare ups or avoid any flare ups that might occur, but I haven't had any significant back problems since. Let's see, it happened 2015. Yeah, for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
So when it comes to recovery, how do you kind of stay healthier and kind of injury free nowadays? Do you have any? Because obviously at the OTC you have like massage therapists and athletic trainers and people to take care of you. So what's your approach to recovery now that you're kind of more on your own?
I mean, a lot of it's like, self-care, like rolling out. I have like E-stem for my legs. I take Epsom salt baths. Like I try to keep up on my nutrition because that plays a big part into your recovery. Try to stay hydrated. It's just all the little things that people take for granted at the training center. So it's like, investing in your own self-care. Like I have my own cupping set, and I have like a Graston's tool, and so, it's not uncommon to see me like digging into my forearm like a metal tool because something hurts but I've been lucky that through a lot of friends out here at the gym I train at, like everyone seems to know somebody and that does like massage, and there's someone I was seeing for acupuncture as well. So a lot of people have been helping me out since I haven't been at the training center, so it's been nice. And Dave has a lot of connections when it comes to, therapy and things like that. So.
Okay, so the gym you train at now, do you have any people that are like relatively high level weightlifters that you kind of train with, or are you mostly training on your own?
Well. There aren't very many high level weightlifters there, but they're a good group of people, and like I've never been like extremely I guess driven by other people's like lifting in the gym. Mm-hmm. Like obviously like there's a I think a subconscious thing, or maybe it's conscious, where see someone else clean 200, you're just like, I can do that way easier. So like if there was another guy in the gym doing that, my training would probably be a little bit better. But I think 12 years in, like if you're still doing it, you have to want it, and you can't like really be dependent on things like that like to keep you going. But when I first moved out here, it was me and my wife training in a gym with maybe one or two people coming in every now and then, and it was just really difficult to be motivated all the time, like especially when you're maxing out and like your last heavy day for your competition, you have to snatch 165 and clean and jerk 205 all by yourself. I did that, and it was I had success with it, but the mental focus it takes to get the job done, it's just, after that training cycle I was depleted and I didn't have anything else left in the tank to like fuel my workouts. But I switched gyms recently, and they have 10 platforms, 10 plus people in the gym every day working out in the afternoon, and even though they're not quite, I guess, pushing me more or less in like my numbers, like being around other people who are, struggling and like in their own right and within their capabilities, it's just keeps me accountable for getting my workouts done, which is, the more work I can accumulate, the better off I'll be.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar setting where like I'll train in a gym with a bunch of powerlifters, but like just having people that care and people that want to watch, like that's that helps in and of itself, even if they're not doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So what are your plans kind of heading forward? Do you ever plan on coaching, or do you plan on kind of getting out of the sport, or?
I want to coach. I've been too busy to coach, obviously with school and work and married life and training. But I think once I'm done, I'd like to stick around and coach a little bit. I feel like lifters who live at the training center for a long time tend to be less interested in coaching once they're done with the sport because they have really bad experiences. And I told myself that I wasn't going to be like that. And then I was there for 7 years, and it's just like I was like, I'm not going to be jaded when I leave. I'm not going to be jaded when I leave. And I left, and I was super jaded. And to some degree, I still feel a little jaded. Just like I don't get me wrong. I loved every moment of being at the OTC. It was like the best thing for me, just to mature, and grow as like a man. But it was just a toxic environment, and it's hard to keep your head on straight living there for so long. It's like being I felt like that Vin Wilder of the OTC. But yeah, I learned, and I think all the knowledge I learned from the OTC, working with great coaches like Bob Morris, Zygmunt, Paul Fleschler, all those guys. I feel like that's valuable knowledge that could be passed on to someone else who, might need it, or it might be the cue that gets someone their next PR.
Right.
If once I'm done, it's just there's no more PRs for me. It's I might as well get gratification by helping someone else PR.
Right. Sound like a typical weightlifter, all about getting PRs or helping people get PRs. So that's kind of it, as far as the formal questions go. But I have this little section of questions I ask people that come on that are more kind of general and a little more philosophical. So besides the physical improvements from weightlifting, do you think it's useful for everyone to strength train or resistance train? And what has strength training done for you?
I think the lifts are. I think everyone needs a base in the snatch and clean and jerk. They're so obscure, and if I'm coaching a volleyball player, I'm not going to have them do snatches, but I might have them introduce them to the movement because I think it's good for body awareness. I think that's one thing that especially younger athletes need to develop. And if you want to, I think introducing younger athletes to the lifts, the snatch and clean and jerk, it helps with that. And I don't care, I don't think I'm a guy who's going to be everyone needs to snatch, clean, and jerk, nothing else, ever. Don't play basketball, don't play football, play as many sports as you can. When I was a kid, I was so limited to what I was able to do that I really wanted to do every sport possible, but I wasn't good at every sport, and I found that out really quick. But but yeah, I think they're necessary tools for functional fitness and just getting people in the gym, getting people active. But I do think that sometimes people overdo it and just kind of break people's souls by being too hard and into the Oli side of strength and conditioning. But To your second question, I would say that, I guess it always turns like this way when people ask that question, but I would say like just being involved in weightlifting and like strength training definitely like just changed my life for the better. If I hadn't been doing weightlifting, I wouldn't have gone to the training center. If I hadn't gone to the training center, I probably would have ended up like on the streets somewhere, like doing something stupid. Like because basically there was a time when I was like legitimately homeless, and I was living with my coach, and he was training me, and I had no money. He was like feeding me on like a teacher's salary, which they don't make anything. So it's just like, if I hadn't got involved with weightlifting and, had the right people around me to help me succeed, like my life would have been like, some completely different than what it is.
That's really interesting. I never knew that, and it's kind of interesting. Like a lot of people say, like it's developed their character, but that's interesting to hear a different side where it's kind of like giving you an opportunity to kind of reach the point where you're at and kind of grow as a person as you have. And that's awesome that your coach does that. It just shows his love for the sport and wanting to just help people,
Yeah, definitely.
And so the next question would be, what is the worst mistake you've made as an athlete, and how would you advise people avoid that mistake?
My coach Dave, he has this great quote about the sport. Yeah. I wish I could phone a friend just to ask him what it is, because it's that good of a quote. But I think humility is one thing I struggled with early in the sport. And I think like being at the training center is one thing that made it hard to kind of take a step back and like understand your limitations. And I think like I kind of got there and I was like, okay, like they expect me to be the best now, so I need to like try to beat Casey Bergner in the gym at like 19 years old, even though he's like a grown man, and like I need to be the one with the most weight on the bar every single time. And it's just like you have to respect the process and respect the hard work and the amount of time and dedication it takes to be, a Zach Critch, a Casey Bergner, like Natalie Bergner. It takes time, and you have to understand that, or I wish I understood that they weren't expecting me to be the best, day 2 at the OTC. They expected me to be the best, in 2016. And, I think I just didn't really grasp that as a young kid. And I think that's kind of what led to like my body getting so beat up in the early stages, and like missing out on some opportunities.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So just kind of hearing those names you tossed out. So who would you say is your favorite weightlifter or favorite weightlifter to watch?
You know what? I don't like watching weightlifting. I've never really been a fond of watching weightlifting. I'll watch it at the Worlds because it's really impressive to me. But I'm all about the quality of person, and I don't care how much you snatch, but I just hope that you treat people with kindness and respect. And my favorite person in the sport of weightlifting is Casey Bergner. He is probably like my best friend I don't know. Like he was my best friend. I don't know if I was his best friend, but for the short time that like we spent together at the OTC, like he really like every time he opened his mouth to say something, I tried to listen because he just had so much knowledge, and every time he was like, Donovan, I think like it would help you if you made this adjustment. Like I was like, okay, like I never questioned it. I never ran it by the national coach. I was like, Casey Bergner is the man. Like he said I should move my arms out in the snatch. I moved my arms out in the snatch. He says that I should make sure I get like 10 hours of sleep. Like I'm getting 10 hours of sleep. Like it's just like he says, put all the weights away when you're done, where you found them every single day. It's just like, okay, I do that. Like, so it's just, and like, we don't talk as much as we used to, but we still are in contact, today. I remember a little story. I was just like, you go through phases at the OTC where you just like are just beat the shit basically, and just like you're just like the voice in your head. It's just like you can't really do this anymore, and like I think I missed like a 190 clean, and I just went crazy, and I was just like, maybe this is the last time I attempt 190 in the clean, like, because like I don't know if I can clean it anymore. And I called Casey, and he had been retired for a few years. I think he was already in like the Navy. And like I call him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I was like, I think I'm done. I was like, I missed 190 in the clean, which is silly of me to even have this conversation. But he was like, dude, like, are you serious? It's like, yeah, like I cleaned it and missed it really bad, and like I just didn't feel like I could, attempt it again. Like I felt like I'm just completely out of gas. And he was like, Donovan, like, you're being an idiot. Like you're like the strongest guy I've ever met. Like there's no way that like you can't clean 190. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. So then, like, I think the next day I had, maybe not the next day, but a couple days later I had heavy cleans again. I think I cleaned up to 210.
Jeez.
But it was just like, that's how motivating he was to me to like, just as a person, But. So, yeah, I don't think I have a favorite lifter. I think I have a favorite person that lifts weights.
Okay, that's a great answer. So I can kind of guess how you might answer this next one, but what is one thing that people can do each day to better their life? So it can be anything at all.
I'd say show up. Show up every day. Like, I think it's easy to feel stuck or come up with excuses in life, and it's just like you show up and put in the work and you'll reap the benefits. It might not be exactly like, it's like I worked really hard and I wanted to like PR by like 10 kilos. It's just like, it doesn't always work that way, but if you work hard every day, like you're going to gain something. Like something good's gonna happen. Like it might not be weightlifting related. It might not be in the gym at all. But like, just show up. Don't throw in the towel and be like, okay, I'm not gonna do it. Like, or I'm not gonna do this, or like it hurts today, or like, yeah.
That's great. I should try and get that on a T-shirt, because the amount of times like people just. They feel so influenced by one training session or how they feel like one point in time, and it's like, just come in the next time you train and try and give it what you can, time after that and the time after that, and then in 3 years you won't remember this one moment, or you'll laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly. I've been in the sport. I've fallen into the trap where like you're just like, oh my god, like I missed like my last heavy snatch, like everything's doomed, like I'm not gonna have a great competition. But it's like, no, I showed up every day, I did all the work. Like you can't win them all. Like show me the guy who's made every single snatch he's ever taken. Like then it's just like, okay, like I guess like I gotta be like that guy. But no, like even the best lifters have missed snatches. Like so, like I think like you just have to like take every day as it comes, like in training, and you can't put too much weight on like I guess I hate when people use this term, like, oh, I failed this attempt or I failed that weight. It's just like that's so like you missed it, you can learn from it, but you don't have to. You didn't fail. Like, why does that sounds so like negative? And like, I think when people start talking about, oh, every time I get this, I fail. Like, it's like you shouldn't like talking like that. Is just like so. I don't know. I think that's just like. I think that's wrong. I think people need to learn how to use more uplifting or neutral words in training that don't carry like such negative energy.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Just being less judgmental about what happens during a training session and just kind of being neutral. That's a great way to put it.
I mean, I think you have to like. I think it has to mean something to you, but I think you also can't. It can't mean everything. Like you can't like I've seen people like have such bad days that you're just like, man, they need to be on like suicide watch, like, because they're like, oh my god, like throwing stuff and like they don't respond to text messages. It's like, dude, like learn to leave it in the gym, like come back, like tomorrow's another day. Like obviously you wanted it, like it hurts, it should hurt, like not achieving what you tried so hard to and worked so hard to achieve should hurt, but it's not the end.
Right.
I always make a joke when people like throw tantrums in the gym. I'm just like, hey, like at least you're not lifting weights from North Korea. They probably stop feeding your family.
Right. So I mean, that's kind of it for the interview, Donovan. Like contact information. I don't know if you have any sites you want to plug, or if you want to give your Instagram handle out, or where people can find you and talk to you if they want to.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Ford_105. No longer on Facebook, which is a great thing. I'll let everyone know. Delete your Facebook. I feel so much better without it. I mean, you don't have to, but but yeah, that's about it. I mean, if you want to check out like the Cal Strength program, I believe it's on the Cal Strength website or the Barbell WOD. Pretty awesome stuff. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Let's say if people have any questions, just slide into the DMs. I'll answer.
Right. I mean, you got back to me really quickly, so I mean, probably be easy to contact. So thanks, Donovan. I appreciate the fact that you joined me for another episode of the Philosophical Weightlifting Podcast, and I had fun hearing about your weightlifting career up until this point, and kind of where you're headed going forward, and the push for 2020.
Yeah.
And I mean, best of luck, man. You're training hard. You're a strong dude. So just hope everything falls as it needs to.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, too. It's awesome.